Okay, hey everyone, it's Professor Nagel, and we are working on Murach C Sharp Exercise 5.2, Develop the Future Value App. And this one we're starting from scratch, so I'm going to create a new project. Windows Forms app, C Sharp, should be pinned in your recent project templates. If not, or if it's not there, you can go search for C Sharp, Windows Desktop, and you're looking for Windows Forms app, not the .NET framework. Okay. And we're going to call this, let's see, 5.2 future value, and then throw your last name in there for me. That makes it easier when I go grading. And the project and solution should be in the same directory because this solution only has one project. I'm using .NET 8, 7, 8, whatever you have installed on your machine is fine. And that was step 1. Step 2 is to add the controls to the form and set the properties of the form and its controls as shown as figure 5.13. So I'm going to take my toolbox and open it up, and I'm going to pin it because we're going to be using it quite often. And as I mentioned in my class earlier, the default font is just a little too small for me. So I'm going to have the form selected. I clicked on the plus in front of font, and I'm changing the size to 11. That just makes it a little bit easier so I can see what's going on. Remember, if your form properties look like this and they're not in alphabetical order, you can hit the second button here to make them alphabetical. So I'll quickly show you here what this form looks like. This is it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 labels, and we have 4 text boxes. The last text box is read only. And then we have 2 buttons, calculate and exit. Calculate has an access key on the C, exit has one on the X. We have the accept and cancel button set. Finally, we don't have an access key on monthly investment. I'm going to add one myself. All right. And some more information here. So grab your book, head to, it's page 163. But it's figure 5.13, and make this form. This is not about designing a form, this particular class. So I'm going to just run through this very quickly. I'm not going to describe what I'm doing. I'm just going to get it done. Okay, we have our form created here, and we need to then generate the event handlers for the click event of the 2 buttons and add the code. And if necessary, we can look at the code in 5.14, which we will be doing because this is not a class on finances and such. This is a class on coding. So let's do the easy one first. When someone clicks on the exit button, it closes the form. And then when someone clicks on the calculate button, I'm looking at the code in 5.14, which is on page 165. So let's get the user's input. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Oh, and I'm done with the toolbar, or the toolbox, right? Don't need that anymore. So, if you remember, we have monthly investment, yearly interest rate, number of years. So, decimal monthly investment is equal to convert to decimal txt monthly investment dot text. So we're going to take whatever the user entered in monthly investment, the text property is what they entered, convert it to a decimal, store it back into that variable. Then we have the yearly interest rate. And same idea. Convert to decimal. And then we have the number of years. And number of years we're converting to an int 32. We need to figure out the monthly interest rate. So, decimal monthly interest, INTER, interest rate. Okay, and that's going to be equal to the yearly interest rate divided by 12 divided by 100. And how many months are we accumulating interest? So that's equal to the number of years times 12. So now we need a variable for our future value. And we need to calculate the future value. So we need to loop through the number of months starting at 0. And when you know how many times you want to loop, you use a for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than months, I plus plus, curly brackets, this is inside the loop right here. The future value is equal to the current future value plus the monthly interest rate, so that's almost right, times 1 plus the monthly interest rate. Okay, so here's the thing. If you don't understand this formula, don't really worry about it because you're a programmer, not an accountant. All right, so if you ever develop an application like this, your customer, whether they're an internal customer, you know, you work at a bank, you work for the IT department, you're making this application, someone from another department will give you this, or if you have an external customer, meaning a client who's paying you to build this application, they'll give you this formula. All right, so just type it in there. And now we're going to take the future value and put it into the txt future value box, and we're going to put it in as currency. And then take the user's focus and put it on the monthly investment text box. So this is our loop. Let's test it out. So now we can run it. 100, 12, 1. Future value is 13 cents. That is not right. So clearly I screwed up somewhere here. Let's go figure out where I screwed up. We're not adding the monthly interest rate. This is plus the monthly investment. Okay. So again, this formula is given to you, but you still need to type it correctly, unlike what I did. 100, 12, 1. All right. Now we're good. We have our future value. So if you invest $100 a month for 12 at a 12% interest rate, and you do it for 1 year, you're not going to just have $1,200. You're going to have $1,280.93. You're making that much in interest. And if you did something like, you know, your monthly investment is $100 like this, you're going to get an error. That's okay. You can hit stop here. We're not handling that yet. We'll be handling that in a couple chapters. So we just did steps 1 through 4. Step 5, in the code editor, set a breakpoint at the for statement by clicking on the margin at the left. Okay, so we take the for statement. I need to move my recording tools here. And way over here in the gray bar, click there, and now we have a breakpoint within that statement. And now when we run our application, and I put in 112, 1, we enter break mode. All right, so the application stops, and it allows us to look at all the variables that are being used in this line. Okay, even variables that we didn't enter, right? I mean, we entered like 112.1, but look, monthly interest rate, I figured out what that is. How many months? I figured out what that is, what the future value is. If you don't see this locals window, it's under debug, Windows, locals. And it's only there when you're in break mode. Okay? You will not have that. You can't get to this window when it's not in break mode. And you can't turn it on. Look, debug, Windows, you can't turn locals on right now. All right? So only when your application is running, debug, Windows, locals is available. So we have locals and watch, which we'll talk about those more as we get through this book. But yeah, we entered break mode. The application just stopped. So now let's go through this. Let's let this loop run one time. So I'm going to hit F11. We are stepping through. So now future value is going to be updated. This single line is going to run. If you notice, future value is 0 right now. Now it's $101. And as we step through, I just keep hitting F11. I'm able to go through and see what is being updated. So when you're using loops, putting a breakpoint on the loop allows you to step through things and debug. Again, we're going to be doing more debugging in chapter 11. Or we can hit F5 and just let the application finish running as normal. All right, hit exit. Remove. So that was steps 5 through 8. Step 9 is remove the breakpoint and then add one inside of the loop. So I'm going to add it just on this future value statement. I have one statement really inside the loop. And now when I run it, 112.1, it stops here. I hit F5, it goes through the loop each time. Cool. And then we're done. Okay, so let's remove this, remove that breakpoint, and believe it or not, that's all there is to 5.2. So most of the time in 5.2 you spent designing this form. Make sure your tab order is set correctly. Make sure that you typed in this formula correctly. Add some comments so you know what's going on. And then when you're done, save it, test it one more time, close Visual Studio, zip it up, and submit it.